Good evening, everyone. The XXXXXX at the top of the screen is I'm not in the UK at the moment. I'm in Colombia in South America on a mercy mission
Wow.
with my nephew for a week. And it's beautiful, but I will show you some scenery afterwards. As Paul was saying in a message, there's a lot gone on. The Pope's passed away. And the May elections are up and coming. And if people would have seen, you would have seen plenty of social media of candidates, reform and all that gearing up for the May elections, which is very interesting. I will be in Rugby myself on the day before the election and the day after. I will be there with Ashley, backing him up. And we're going to be in our best suits, best dressed, and we're off to the council. And, you know, I'll show him a few things because as rights, as a running candidate, you have rights. And things like voting boxes where the votes go into, they're sealed. There's all sort of like all issues, things that you're allowed to do that you're not allowed to do, which are within the rules. And we did say we were going to be starting a workshop up soon, and we'll explain more in the workshop. But Paul, what do you think of the Pope going?
Well, first of all, greetings to Colombia. Come in, South America. This is a very international stream tonight. There's John there in the tropics. Looks very grand indeed. Look at this very leafy mountains. It's supposed to be a beautiful country, Colombia. You're in Bogota, or which part are you in, John?
Medellin.
Medellin, yeah, the second city. They're all in deep valleys, aren't they, these cities? Yeah, incredible. What an experience to go to a country like that, something very different. The Western Hemisphere. Yeah, so I was helping Ashley with his campaign last week, went along to Rugby. We stopped in Lichfield on the way. It's an amazing cathedral in Lichfield. It's a beautiful old English town northeast of Birmingham. Went down with Austin, and we did some. And he's a great candidate, Ashley. Solid guy. We did some, and I met all the locals, and he's very popular down there. I just don't know how extensive his campaign's been, but I think if he put in a real effort, he'd get a good result, because there's a lot of hostility to Labour right across this country now. I mean, everything that Keir Starmer has touched has turned to cack. You know, we're looking at the attack on the farmers, the attack on the pensioners, the attack on the disabled, our open borders. The economy is dull and people are really still feeling the squeeze. People's rents are through the roof. It's crazy, you know. People under pressure in this country. So, I mean, Labour are making it worse. Everything they touch turns to dung, you know. So, yeah, I think these local elections could hit them really hard, especially with Reform having so many candidates right across the board. They've had a really vigorous campaign. They're the new kids on the block. Obviously, in Rugby, we're back in the National Housing Party, and hopefully next time round we'll have a lot more candidates. It's just that this time round, the areas where the elections are taking place, which is only a small area of the country, are not areas where we're that particularly strong, but we will have much more candidates next year. But let's get back to the issues of the day. The passing of Francis. And what does it mean? I mean, I grew up, and there were like 3 offices in the world which had incredible prestige. That was the monarchy in England, the Pope in Rome, which is really the Catholic monarchy, and the President of America. And, I mean, this time, last year, we had Charles on the throne. We had Biden in the White House. He was a clown. And we have Francis in the Vatican, and I thought I thought Francis was like a caricature. He didn't seem a real pope to me. He didn't have the dignity of a pope. He didn't have the depth of a pope. He didn't have the wisdom of a pope. he was talking about all the crazy far left issues, the climate emergency, which is absolutely baloney. It's not. The Pope is there to lead people spiritually, to bring them closer to God, to speak out from his throne the words of Christ, to the hungry, the spiritually hungry, to save people's souls, to proclaim the gospel, the good news of Jesus to the world, and to lead the world morally. Now, he didn't do that. He did the exact opposite. He stood up for same-sex marriage, which is an abomination in the eyes of God. Doesn't matter what contemporary society thinks about it. In the eternal dimension, the Bible says this is an abomination. He stood up for transvestites. I mean, for me, transvestism, it's a form of mental illness. It's a very sad thing if people lose the sense of what their gender is. You're born with a gender, just like you're born with a height. I mean, the idea that you can switch your gender is just insane. Now, the Pope, he didn't speak out clearly on these issues. He just took a left-wing position, but he was put into power by the left. Obama put him there. Because they moved Benedict, who was the real Pope. They pushed him aside. That had never happened before. There had never been a Pope that had resigned before. Popes don't resign. Once they're anointed, it's a job for life until they die. So for me, he was an imposter. And of course, you're in Latin America now, John. That's where he's from. He was from Argentina. Now, for 500 years, all the popes had come from Italy until John Paul II, who was the Polish Pope, and then there was a German Pope, and then there's this guy. So to me, it was like the fall of Rome, really, because he just didn't have the prestige that a pope should have. He didn't have the presence. He didn't have the wisdom. And then, of course, he had this whole thing of the Muslim takeover of Europe, the third world invasion, which he supported wholeheartedly. He called for open borders. He said, tear down the walls, build roads, build bridges. Let's bring these people in. But of course, they're coming in from a different culture. They're coming in and they're looking at our girls and thinking, soft touch. That's prey for us. Let's get them. They're looking at our welfare system and think, well, we can milk this dry for every penny it's worth. They're looking at our institutions and think we can take these over. I mean, we'll abuse the democratic process, and this is what they're doing. City after city, we have Muslim mayors, and they're imposing their agenda, and they have an ultimate goal, which is Sharia law. But, why was the Pope a cheerleader for this process? Really, for me, it was the Kalechi plan. It's about the destruction of Europe and turning us into a third world continent. It's madness. And yet the Pope made this almost like a holy mission. And he got all these Catholic NGOs, Catholic charities, to funnel. I mean, in America, it wasn't Muslims he was bringing in. It was from the likes of Guatemala and Honduras and Mexico, funneling these people in, and all from all over the third world. And so he made this the big issue now, mass migration into the West. And there's a sort of, the ideology that's taken over Rome, it's just cultural Marxism. It's like the breakup of the family by promoting, as I say, transgenderism, homosexuality, the destruction of our borders and our nations. And it wasn't godly. It wasn't godly focused. It was focused on contemporary issues, which from a left-wing perspective. And for me, it's brought the whole Catholic Church into disrepute. I mean, and a lot of Catholics were very hurt by what happened and the fact that the Catholic Church promoted it, put this man on such a pedestal. And he was going against the magisterium, the teachings of the Catholic Church. He was going against the Curia, the way the Catholic Church was governed. He was bringing all these tacky politics in. And so I was very, very disappointed with Francis. I just thought he was an imposter myself. And to be honest, I'm glad we've moved on from him. don't wish ill to anybody. And he had a long life. He was 88, but I think he was a disappointment. But it leaves a gap now. Who's going to succeed him? We have no Archbishop of Canterbury. We have no Pope of Rome. And we have Charles on the throne in England, who's a very weak figure. And, he himself is close to death, I believe. He's got a serious cancer. So there's a big vacuum at the top. John, I mean, you grew up in the same world as me. These three officers of state and we're massive officers, The president, Biden's gone. We've got Trump now. There's a lot of turmoil. How do you see the future, John? Can you hear me, John? Over in Colombia, he suddenly froze. John?
I'm here.
Oh, good.
Yeah, you were saying a lot of people are talking about the next pope, a black conservative he is. Let me just get his name.
Well, he don't know yet. He hasn't been elected. He haven't had the vote yet, Could be anyone. It's usually a surprise, the Pope.
Yeah, a lot of people are shouting for Robert Serra of Ghana, Guyana. And I've seen him, and I have seen him past few years. He's a very prominent figure, and he's done several things. He's been in the media and that, and he's a conservative. So there's a lot of that kind of. I don't think he'll be so pro LGBT like the Pope was just gone. I really don't. But is a Pope a puppet? If he's a puppet, they're going to put somebody else in, Paul. They're going to put somebody else in, aren't they? We just don't know.
Well, this is the thing with the NGOs. You see, the Catholic Church is a big organisation, employs a lot of people, and it requires a lot of money. And of course, they had all these paedophile scandals, which the Pope didn't really resolve. And this has drained huge amounts of money from the church. So they've been reliant on the likes of Bill Gates, George Soros, all the villains to finance the Catholic Church. And of course, if they put their money in, they want to call a tune. But go on, John. Ashley!
We've got an hero. We've got an hero in the chat, guys. Ashley Morgan, our rugby candidate.
Yeah. Backed up by a great team who I believe in.
Where are you? You're not in hospital there, are you?
Yeah, I've come to visit Gloria. She had a bit of a mishap, but it's okay. It's all right. I'm in hospital. Yeah, it's all right. Don't worry about it.
Oh, I hope she's all right. Oh.
She wasn't looking good last night, but I'll tell you what, they're on it, and she's looking 100 times better today. She's fine.
God.
It's okay. Yeah, it's great. So anyway,
God bless her soul.
Well, that's right. Which brings us to our another thing I'd like to raise up: the fact that our NHS hospitals are overcrowded. They're desperate for beds. But what's all this that I hear about them? That they're only hiring the police, the NHS, all these agencies, probation or whatever, only hiring ethnic minorities. What's all that about?
The push for that is a push for diversity, Ashley. That's going on now. And listen. And what it is, right? And it's been proven this through the RAF. There's just been a court case where 3 white coppers have won their case against the police force because the police force unfairly processed them, and it was wrong. And they won the court case. And we're hiring people who just don't have as good a skills as people we could hire, all for the sake of that diversity. And it's a big thing. We have diversity officers within the NHS, dozens of them, on over £100,000 a year. And they're just really screwing us over. And in a majority, if this was a majority black country, you would expect a lot more people in these kind of physicians would be black, but it isn't. It's a majority white country. And statistically, even if you don't talk about anything to do with anyone, statistically, there's going to be more white people in positions of good positions and that, because there is more white people in the country. It's just simple statistics, you know.
That's right, and it's not about black and white. You're talking about Oriental, Asian, anybody that isn't white.
Well, actually, you'll find when you look into it, you'll find that Oriental, they're pushed to the side just as much as it's just for a certain demographic. You know what I mean? And Indians as well. They're even though they're clever, they're pushed to the side. It's all just for one section, that black community.
Oh, I think the Muslims are in there, John. They have their organisations promoting their agenda. But we're in Britain. This is the word, and it broke in Britain. All the institutions we put our faith in. We've talked about Rome. We've talked about the Pope. Talked about the monarchy. These institutions we put our faith in, they're all broken now. They've all been saturated with this political correctness, this cultural Marxism, and they're not about providing a good service anymore and employing the right people. They're all about box ticking and political agendas. And we're the people who have been abused. All we're expected to do is pay for these things. So and what are you getting on the doorstep, Ashley? You're still campaigning there in Rugby.
Yes, I've been out. I've been doing a bit today. I mean, people like you pointed out that they're very impressed with the leaflet, and I'm over the moon with it. And considering it was put together, reasonably quickly, it's a hell of a. I'll tell you what I could have mentioned is the fact that the hospital in Rugby, because it's run by nurses, we used to have two hospitals, St Luke's and St Cross. St Luke's got closed down. St Cross became run by nurses as opposed to doctors. Coventry and Warwick, which is in Coventry University Hospital, which I'm in now, that's our main hospital for anything really serious. And the other thing is, we don't have an ambulance service in Rugby anymore. They took it away. So I really should have brought it to Pat's attention about talking about remanning and even having pushing forward with an extension, because Rugby's big enough. You've seen, you've seen like everywhere else, it's growing. Two areas in Rugby that I can think of is Corston and Holton. Holton's in my constituency, and we haven't got there's been reports of ambulance taking 8 hours or more to get to people.
We've got to do something about these open borders, Ashley. There's just too many people coming in, and they're just freeloading on the system. They're not coming to contribute. They're just coming to take.
Everybody's mentioning it. Everybody's talking about it. Everyone. Not just us, but everybody, everyone.
I think that's going to hit Labour hard. I think Reform are going to do extremely well. John, how do you think these local elections are going to go in Britain?
Interesting. There's going to be a lot of seats lost off Tories, Labour, certainly. And if I look at it, we're in North Manchester, Labour lost hundreds of thousands of votes. They're going to lose seats as well in these May elections, definitely. And they'll be gained not just by Reform, independents. There's loads of independents running. They're going to get seats. The hyper-local political parties, they're running for seats in different towns. And, of course, Reform, the Workers' Party, they're all running candidates and just going to suck away them votes from them top classes. That's what they're going to do. Nobody might not get in. Labour might still have the majority. They might still keep the government, but the fine line they'll be walking on, a very fine line. And some of these constituencies and wards are just going to come down to a few votes. And
what I'd like to say, guys, is that the state of the country now is that parties like ours we can smell blood. We can see how it's going. We can see them falling apart. I think a lot of the people, the public, they voted Labour because they'd had enough of Conservative. Now they've had enough, and it's so close together. When it's not that long ago, when Conservative was in, they got fed up with them. Then it got Labour. They got fed up with them. We can smell blood now. I think that's
I like that, Ashley. Yeah, I think things are going to move very quickly. I mean, John talked about the Workers' Party independence, but did you see that there was a by-election last week in London in a safe Labour seat, and it was the Greens that took it. They stole the Labour vote. The Greens are going to hit Labour hard because obviously Labour they're facing a lot of dissent from the left. Labour now are the pro-war party, aren't they? They're the globalist party. They're pumping billions into this pointless war in Ukraine. And what is all that about? It's not the British people don't want to be involved. I've heard now that many soldiers are giving up on the military and leaving because they don't want to save on it. They can sniff it. They're saying, we're not going to fight for Starman in Ukraine. We can't even defend our own borders.
We've given what keeps being mentioned is the fact of how many billions he's offered to, he's given to and promised to give to Ukraine, billions, and yet he's took money off, senior citizens,
It is bizarre what he's doing, Labour. They're cutting the cloth. They're getting they're taxing the farmers, and they're going to hit the farming industry in this country hard. That's going to disturb the whole farming community in this country because it makes it very difficult to pass on your farm to the next generation. They've hit the farmers. That's going to raise 500 million for them. They're hitting the pensioners. That's going to raise $1 billion for them. They're hitting the disabled. That's going to hit a lot more. That's going to raise a lot more for them. And people who are dependent on benefits. And then they're turning around and saying that we're giving billions to the Ukraine, we're spending tens of billions on net zero, which is just a sort of phantom scheme. So, they're hitting people who need it hard, and they're just wasting the money. It's a lot of fraud involved in this, a lot of backhanders, a lot of paybacks, these people, we can see, we can smell it. These people are corrupt. They're all about their own enrichment, their own empowerment, and they just don't care about the British people. And we can sense that. But what we need is people like the National Housing Party to speak this out, to shout it out. And we need candidates like Ashley Morgan in Rugby who can go on the doorstep and offer an alternative. Now, Reform, they had a good campaign, but the shortcomings are there for them. We need the local voices, we need truth speakers, and we need the people of Britain to rise up. It can't be a top-down thing. We've got to get organised and mobilised.
Hey, this May the 1st is only on the doorstep. Let's see, let's see what happens. Like I said, I think parties like ours, we smell blood. Because, like you said, the Greens won in a Labour. We can smell blood now. There's that old saying, isn't there? Give somebody enough rope and they'll hang themselves. I think they've hung themselves.
John, how are you going to celebrate St. George's Day tomorrow?
I think I'll do some streaming. That's what I'll do, and keep on my social media. We've got to stay in tomorrow.
St. George's Day tomorrow.
While Cassim gets rest up, so I'll get on social media, share, I'll comment, I'll interact with people, which will boost people's posts and all that lot, and that's what I'm going to focus on tomorrow. And of course, I'll be doing some short videos. I have done a bit of a blog about my trip here, what stuff we've had to do and stuff like that, but I've got to edit it all. But yeah, it's good. It's good. I'll be up to something.
How long are you spending out there, John?
Only a week. We're back on Sunday.
Have you ever been to South America before?
No chance. I've never flown more than 4.5 hours.
Are you enjoying it? Are you enjoying it there?
It's a working break for me, guys. I'm carer and personal assistant to my nephew. Yeah, mine.
When I think of South America, I think of mosquitoes.
There's no mosquitoes. Yeah, it's a working holiday for me, but it's good. Everyone's
What's
nice.
the food like? What's the food like?
The food is excellent. The food is excellent. But let me tell you a little bit. We're in Medellin, which is the area that Pablo Escobar come from.
Oh, of course.
Of course, talking to people here, they said that this place has a negative thing across the world because it's all related to Pablo Escobar. But if absolutely, that is not, no crime gangs don't run Medellin no more. It's a coffee place, and it's also sort of like the Silicon Valley of Colombia. So technology.
What's the country?
It's Colombia, South America.
Yeah, Colombia,
yeah. And
what's the capital? Isn't it Columbia City? Is it something like
Bogota? No, Bogota. Medellin is its second city, but it's all research and development here, cutting edge technology happening here right now. It's not a third world country, you know what I mean? There's big money here, and there's big investors as well. So I'm learning all this already. But you know, if you say Colombia to anyone else, they'll just start going on about cocaine. That's what they start going on about.
That was a quarter of a century ago, John. My brother used to go to Cartagena. Cartagena's the big port. Yeah. He was in the Merchant Navy, and he would go there quite a lot, my brother. He liked it, you know. I think Colombia is one of these countries of the future. There's 50 million plus people. It's a big place, you know. And it's got great potential.
It's great. The weather's lovely. Everyone's nice. You know, I'm here with somebody who's in a wheelchair, so they bend over backwards for you, you know, to help you out, whatever you need and stuff like that. So it's not a holiday in the sense of working holiday for me. It was stressful a bit, the 10-hour flight, and then we had a small connecting hour flight, but we managed it. Everything was good. Everyone's been nice. The people here are nice. If you speak Spanish, this is the place for Spanish. We've met several people already. We've met an Indian couple, Indian ethnicity from Trinidad and Tobago.
Can I come out with you next time?
They've been there 3 generations, 3 or 4 generations. They've been there, and she's great, brilliant, and everyone's nice. So it's good. It's good. I'm enjoying it.
Palo Español, whatever they say.
Another. I'll just throw in another one. Pablo Escobar imported 5 hippopotamuses about 30 years ago, and they ended up breaking out of their enclosure, and there is now 150 hippopotamuses in Colombian jungles and rivers. But it's had a sort of like negative effect on the ecosystem here, because it is a tropical country. It's a tropical rainforest country, and so they're looking into ways of preserving them. They don't just want to wipe them out, because these hippos could grow to be a different kind of species of hippos eventually, as if you left them. And so they're looking at ways to conserve the hippopotamuses and stuff like that. They are thinking of sterilizing some, so there aren't so many babies, so they can better control them. But they don't want to kill them. They don't want to kill them. They don't just want to kill them. That's not what they're here for. Colombians do not want to do that to these animals. Some will be captured and sent to zoos or whatever, but they want to try and do something. So that's very interesting. Also, Colombia's big on rocks. I'm just reading a big, massive book that's in the lobby, and it's about all sorts of different types of rocks and that, you know, and it is really interesting stuff. But yeah.
it's very mountainous, Colombia, isn't it? I mean, these Medellin and Bogota are in these deep valleys. But what worries me about these hippos, if they get into the Amazon basin, they could really explode in number if they got into the Amazon, you know. But what I wanted to ask you about Colombia, John, is that it's still mainly a Catholic country, isn't it? Although there is a strong sort of evangelical Pentecostal movement there. And what's been the response? And of course, it is Latin America. What's been the response there to the death of the Pope?
We was talking to a couple, not yesterday, the day before, and we overheard them talking, and I tried to get a bit more involved. But yeah, you know, they do know what's happening across the world and stuff like that. But I can't go more into depth for that. I haven't had any big conversations, but I did hear them talking about it. So, you know, and it is probably going to affect them. We haven't been to any religious buildings yet, although we're going out Friday for a bit of a tour. So we might see some of the important religious sites or anything like that we can find that we're going to go to. But yeah, you know,
try and get to a Pentecostal church, John, or a charismatic. They're very lively churches in Colombia. They've got mega churches, really big churches, which are absolutely on fire for Jesus. You know, they're incredible churches. But the thing is with the Pope, looking ahead now, you're talking about this African conservative. Nice one, John. This African conservative who might get appointed. There's other people. Obviously, the cardinals elect the next Pope. But we need a leader. We need a leader in the West, someone to revive the West. Because we've got a population collapse in Europe of the indigenous people. We need to have bigger families. We need to encourage marriage again. We need parents to stick together to raise godly children. We need to revive our moral life and our spiritual life of our communities. We've got to start putting our own people first again, instead of like just pandering to mass immigration all the time. Especially, I mean, Islam is reaching such a proportion now in country after country, France, Germany, Britain. I mean, I don't know how many there are in Britain now, maybe 7 million, you know, and it's starting to impact the politics and the life and the culture of the country. And this to me is like, this is what the Catholic Church is really mobilized against, the Islamification of Europe, the time of the Crusades. The Pope led the peoples of Europe in their defense against the Muslim attacks in Spain, in Italy, in the Balkans. There were massive armies that came from the Middle East. We're being invaded again now, but this is like, it's through mass immigration. It's a takeover of our country. It's a takeover of our culture, and we need to get leaders in the West who will actually stand up against it and say, no, we are an ancient civilization. We have our own faith, our Christian faith. We have our own morals, and we like them. You know, they're worth defending, and we have our own traditions, and we need a leader that's going to speak for us. And defend us and mobilize us and inspire us to revive our culture and our nations. And you know, it's sad that all these institutions now, they're all led by very weak people. I mean, Trump breaks the mold, doesn't he? But he's coming against a lot of opposition in America. But we need people like Trump. We need people that care about the ordinary people again. Trump connects with the ordinary American people, the MAGA army. We need people in Europe to take positions of power again. And this is why it's so important that we get a decent Pope this time, because I think Pope Francis was a real shocker for me. He was a real shocker. But getting back to St. George's Day. St. George's Day tomorrow. England's Day. It's not only England. St. George's is also the saint of, like other places. He was really he was the sort of inspiration for the Crusaders. He became our saint because of the Third Crusade, when Richard the Lionheart went out to the Middle East to try and reclaim the holy places from Saladin. He lifted up the flag of St. George. St. George is like a type of St. Michael in the Bible, the archangel. who led the host of heaven, the heavenly armies, against the forces of Lucifer, the devil. And so it was seen as a holy war, a spiritual war. And St. George, of course, is a very sort of militant type figure. He's he's a warrior. He's a warrior for Christ who slays the devil, who slays darkness, who slays the enemies of Christ, who slays the people who are trying to destroy us. Because we do have an enemy. The devil is our enemy, ultimately. It's a dark force, It's a dark spirit that seeks to destroy us. And we have something in our culture called nihilism, which says that there's no such thing as right and wrong, no such thing as decent values and bad values. You can do anything you want, you can say anything you want, and it's just a dark spirit that enters our culture. And yet St. George rose up against that and said, no, I'm going to stand on the side of virtue. I'm going to stand on the side of truth. I'm going to stand on the side of righteousness. I'm going to stand on the side of Christ. And so he inspired this nation, England. Cry for England, Harry and St. George. I mean, he was our inspiration through the ages because he was a virtuous knight. He was a chivalry, this chivalric knight. And we need to revive this remembrance of St. George, and St. George is the heart of England. We are a warrior nation that fights for what is right and what is just. And we've got to revive that again. Let's kick cowardness into touch. Let's kick treason and treachery into touch, and let's revive England again. John?
Yeah, definitely. St. George it is our patron saint because of Christianity. Nothing else, not because of where he's come from, where he's born or anything like that, not to do anything to do with the colour of his skin. He's our patron saint because of Christianity. And so just remember that when they say, oh, St. George was this, that and the other, it doesn't matter. He was a pillar of Christianity. And like Paul said, people revered him, and he helped the warriors in the crusade to go forward and stuff like that, against the rise of Islam at that time, which was why the crusades were on. But yeah, his first thing is it was for Christianity. That's why. And like Paul said, he's a patron saint of several different countries around the world. And the same with some of our other saints. Maybe we should talk a bit more about our saints and that in future. In future streams and stuff like that, definitely. But yeah, it's big. So tomorrow I'll be pretty free. It's good internet here, so I'll be engaging with people. If people have streams on, I'll be engaging with them. I'll certainly be sharing, and I'll probably be doing some of my own TikToks, or even not, some YouTube streams tomorrow. So watch out for that. Please, everyone, like and subscribe. NHP UK TV is my YouTube channel. We're on Facebook. Follow us. Our party, let's get some stuff up about our party. That's our admin email there. If you've got any questions or anything. And there's mine and Pat's email at the bottom, going along the bottom, and my number. And it's looking good, guys. I've been in contact with someone who's recently come from Ireland. She's been in Birmingham. She's got a place now up near York, and she wants to run for us. But very interesting stuff. I haven't even spoke to Pat about it yet, so I'm going to have to swap numbers again, get Pat in contact with her. So we're expanding, guys. It is disappointing sometimes when we lose a candidate for whatever reason. And people are always going to be jealous or negative about us because we are doing things. We are actually running candidates, and sure, we're going to get council seats. So it's going to make people jealous. People are going to say things, but we'll deal with it the best way we can. You know, I'm not ignorant. I know there's trials and tribulations, but if we can get together and everyone can get voting and get onto it, we'll do very well. We'll do really well. And people are motivated. People are more motivated now, Paul, definitely, I think.
Well, we've been established now, John, for over 2 years. And we put up about a dozen candidates now, but we've got a lot more candidates down the pipeline. Obviously, Reform have come and they filled a lot of the space. But we've got our own message, Christian nationalism, grassroots, local government, standing in local government, listening to local issues, but also with a perspective about saving our nation. So I think we've got something unique to offer. We're not into cancel culture. We're not into political correctness. We believe in liberty. All are welcome into our party. If you love Britain and you've got a heart that is red, white, and blue, come and join and get involved. Because we're building a battalion. We're building a people that to save this nation. We realise this nation is in danger. And we've talked about the Pope tonight. We've talked about St. George. What about the Church of England? The Church of England hasn't got an Archbishop of Canterbury. I mean, this is unique. This is the first time since the Glorious Revolution that there's been no Pope on the throne and no Archbishop of Canterbury. Now, the last Archbishop of Canterbury, I've forgotten his name now. He was such a nonentity, and he was a miserable. He was a miserable leader. He was really poor, and he led us down the wrong channels. He took us into darkness. You know, he was into all this transgenderism and same-sex marriage and all. This is all sin. This is nothing to do with the Christian faith. And like the Pope, he sort of banged the drum for left-wing politics, and he was a globalist figure. We need, the Church of England needs to be revived. It needs to get back to its traditions. This is the thing. We're a traditional party. We value the traditions of England and of Europe and of Christendom. We value what we had in the past, the morals that we had, the institutions that we had, the spirituality that we had, and all of the things socially that came from that, such as families. I had a visitor this week from Australia. He hadn't been to Liverpool for 60 years, believe it or not. He left in 1965. He's 86. He came back and he said, "Oh, it's a different city now." I mean, Liverpool's doing well economically. I mean, there's a lot of investment here. He said, but there's something, the spirit isn't the same. He said, Liverpool used to have it's still got a good community spirit, but it's been weakened. But when we went in the pubs, he said, this is the spirit of Liverpool. There was such a joy in the pubs. People were dancing, they were singing, very sociable. And that's the spirit of Liverpool. We're a very sociable city. And we're good talkers, and we're party animals. You know the pool, don't you, John? And so he really enjoyed that. And, it's still there. It's still there. The good old Britannia is still alive and kicking. It just needs leadership. It needs revival. The person we've got in number 10 at the moment, Keir Starmer, he's a wet rag, and he's useless. He's taken us in the wrong direction. He doesn't love this country. He doesn't love its people. You can see that in his response to Southport, the way he just locked up all the people who were protesting. We're only standing up for those girls who are murdering their own children, and yet he sided. We know who he sided with, and we know who he sides with. He sides with our enemies. There's something very deceitful about that guy. He's not a normal character. He's a very iffy figure. And the Labour Party have become a very warped group of people. I had a really strange experience over the weekend, John, in the pub. A guy from the Labour Party approached me and he said, "You're Paul Rimmer, aren't you?" He said, yeah. "Did you used to be in the BNP?" He said, "Yeah, I was 15 years ago." He said, "Well, you know what?" He said, "I had a lot of respect for what you said then, because you spoke up for this nation and you spoke the truth." He said, "And you're a decent guy, you're a Christian man, I know that." And he said, and I'm with the Labour Party lads now, and we used to listen to what you say, because what you said, it meant something, and you had the courage to speak it out. And I thought, well, thanks for that. It's almost like a word from God, saying, I'm going to support you in what you do. I was in the park today, John. Listen to this. This is even strange. I was in the park today, sitting by the lake, and this guy approached me again. I get approached because you don't realise, if you've been on YouTube for years, people know who you are. He said, "You're Paul, what's his name, aren't you?" "Yeah, Paul Rimmer, yeah." He said, "Oh, yeah, I used to watch your videos." This guy was the chauffeur for Joe Anderson. And he said, "Joe Anderson used to watch your videos as well." And he said, "We liked your videos." And it's a strange world, isn't it? So,
oh, no way. I'm not. Oh, that's mad, that. That's mad.
Yeah. You don't know who you're impacting when you get on the social media. A lot of people are plugging into it and they're listening. And if you got something worth saying, people will listen to it,
Yeah, well, I'm hoping, I mean, with what's gone on, I'm hoping there's going to be an increase in people voting. I really do. And I'm confident we're going to see figures starting this election that will prove that across the country. And of course, Labour and working so hard to try and come back off all this. They've even took on reform policies and made them put them into practice in the Labour Party. So, they are aware, but they're struggling, Paul. They are struggling. Look at the state of the members of Parliament. We've had about a dozen members of Parliament convicted for serious offences in just the past couple of years. You know what I mean? And there was Mike Amesbury that started the Runcorn by-election, and people are thinking, what's going on? A woman come to social media and said that he should be accountable for what he did, and she got a visit off the police. And this is an MP who beat somebody up and punched him on the ground, and people are getting visits because they're angry that he never got accountable or never got kicked off his seat or anything like that. Tell you the truth, guys, if I were Prime Minister, anyone who does anything like that would never be able to run in public office ever again. Sex crimes or anything like that, you wouldn't never be able to run in public office. If you have, you just wouldn't, and I just wouldn't allow it. But we allow all these people in because they're in the cabal, and we need to break up that cabal. So
well, that's, you're hitting on the nail there, John, because these people have got away with it because they haven't been accountable. The Liberal ABCON really operated as the uni party, as one party. They looked after each other and they protected each other. This is why I like the fact that Reform are making such a big impact, because they're going to break up this uni party. They're going to break up their control, and they're going to allow new forces and new voices to emerge. I mean, because now the Labour Party are vulnerable in so many seats, and the Tories have gone down the chute, haven't they? So there's a big opening now for real voices to emerge, and Reforms. It's a step in the right direction. I mean, people criticise Nigel Farage for compromising, and he does compromise, but he's a clever politician. He's been around a long time. He's been around since 1992. Now, he might have stepped over the line sometimes in the way he will condemn other patriots and he will block them from joining his party or whatever, but he's the only guy who's actually achieved something by getting us the Brexit referendum and the vote to leave. And this is the third political party he's created. We do need other voices which are speaking truth, but Farage has been very effective at breaking down the uni party, the Liberal ABCON, and their monopoly on British politics, and that is to be welcomed, But so there's good things happening ahead, John, and I think everything is stirring again in the country. People are very wary about what's going on, and they're looking for fresh, new sources, new voices, and that's what we've got to be in the National Housing Party. We've got to be new voice for the British people, and we've got to be a vehicle they can use to express themselves. This is the problem with Reform. They conform to the mass media, and the age of the mass media is over. We are the media now, as Elon Musk said. We are the media now. I mean, I've been on X over the last month, John. Listen to this. I've had something like 250,000 impressions on X over the last month. I mean, Pat, did you see the stuff he did on Trafalgar, the passion stuff in Trafalgar Square for the crucifixion of Christ over Easter? That got millions of hits on different platforms. Millions. This is the impact you can have. So our voices count. If we're prepared to speak truth and we're prepared to stand up against, as a counter voice, countercurrent to the nonsense that we hear day in, day out. I mean, the BBC is shameful. But are there any other issues, John, that you think are pertinent that we need to talk about?
The courts have said that a woman is an adult human female, which is causing ripples in the LGBT whatever community. But it's backwards. I can't believe people, they're so backwards. And you know, like someone was saying, they're all women, but they're not. They're men. These people are men, and because we've given them this status, they've got this status. They can be violent, they can be horrible. A black woman called a trans woman Mister, and he abused her by calling her the N-word and stuff like that. And she's in trouble, and he's not in trouble. You just couldn't make it up.
Yeah, it's Keir Starmer gave an interview on this issue, and he's now decided he knows what a woman is because the court's defined it. Women apparently don't have penises, you know, which is a bit of a shock to Keir Starmer. And but what a balloon, you know, what a balloon that he's finally. He said, I can now state what a woman is because the court has defined it. I mean, all this stuff is nonsense because there's no complications here. They decided to complicate it up to confuse people. And it's this woke agenda, just confuse everybody about simple truths. Got to get back to simplicity, right and wrong, truth and lies. A man is a man, a woman is a woman, and it's just the way you're born. You don't have a choice in this issue, you know.
You don't, no, you don't. Thank you, everyone. Thank you in the chat. Please share, like, and subscribe. NXP UK TV, YouTube. Freedom for Britain. Yes, Daniel, I hope you're all right. Are you running an election, Daniel, I wonder? We've got Freedom for Britain, which is Daniel, and he invited me up to his Barnsley independent election a couple of years before we started the party, so I went up as the election agent. No, it's not a holiday, Daniel. It's a working holiday. I'm carer, personal assistant for my nephew's paralysed waist down. I don't have no time to go on holiday, and we're only here for a week. I'd have to stay for a month. But thank you, everyone.
John, did you see that Steve Laws left the Homeland Party? Did you hear about that?
Oh, no. Interesting.
Yeah, he's not happy with it. And that's fallen to pieces, the Homeland Party. So I don't know if that's going to impact the British Democrats. We could get some support from there. I mean, I know Steve Laws is a big advocate for deportations, isn't he? Which is, if they're going to be done, have got to be done carefully. But where's Pat tonight, John?
It's busy. He's probably been out leafleting. You know what he's like. 2 hours a night, twice a week, and he regularly does it on a Tuesday. So I think he's tired, he said. But I haven't spoke to him for a couple of days. But I am going to. We've got some more possible candidates lined up for whenever the next elections are. So interesting stuff. But thank you, everyone. We'll leave it there. And we'll catch you all next week. Any last words, Paul?
Well, I don't know where you'll be next week, John. Probably be in China or something.
No, I'll be in the UK, don't worry.
Back in the UK. Well, it's a week on Thursday, the local elections. There should have been 5,000 seats up for grabs, but there's only something like 1,700 because the Tories and Labour, it's a sort of racket. They managed to shut down over 3,000 local elections because they know they're going to get hit very hard in these local elections. It's going to be a bit of a revolution if Reform can sweep the board. I'm expecting them to get like a third of the seats, but it's going to be hard work. But if you just go by the by-elections, they're getting a lot of votes. So things are happening. Things are always moving and changing in this world. And we've got to raise our voice and just be, I mean, the people come and go. The Pope's gone. The Archbishop of Canterbury's gone. And Keir Starmer, John, will soon be gone. We're going to get rid of him. Lovely view. Medellin, Colombia, Latin America.
Right, we're off, guys. We'll see you all next week, and I'll be in rugby. Actually, I'll be streaming on voting day, so I'll be there. See you next week. God bless everyone.
Cheers, John.